Action.
Action. Okay, what are we making today?
Focaccia.
We're making a no-knead focaccia with about 65% hydration. And to do that, we have flour. Today we're using a mix of all-purpose flour and bread flour. So we have 400 grams of each. We have kosher salt. We have olive oil. We have instant yeast, diastatic malt powder, and we have water. So to get started, all we're going to do is we're first going to just add in all of our dry ingredients. So add our salt, our instant yeast, and our diastatic malt powder. This is optional but good to have. And let's just give it a quick stir. And then we're going to add our wet ingredients. So just add all of our water here. And our olive oil. And we're basically just going to stir this using a wooden spoon or maybe a rubber spatula. And just give it a stir, continue stirring until there's no more dry bits. Another important thing when you're doing this, you want to make sure your bowl is large enough. So once we're finished mixing, we're going to leave this from somewhere between 8 to 24 hours, during which time it is going to rise significantly. So if your bowl is not big enough, you're going to make a big mess. So it's starting to get a shaggy dough here, and we just have to continue working it until all the flour has been hydrated. Okay, scrape down the sides a little bit here. So see, we still have some dry bits here, so you need to keep mixing. Ready?
Action.
Okay, so it's been about 24 hours, and now you can see why we wanted to make sure we had a really large bowl. We're almost at the top here. So really your bowl should be around 3 to 4 times the volume of the starting amount. And what we're going to do now is we're just going to place the dough into our focaccia pan. So this is a, what is it, 9 by 13? 9 by 13, like kind of lasagna size pan. And so first things first, we're going to add our oil. We're going to add about 3 tablespoons of oil maybe. You want there to be a lot because the worst case scenario would be that, well, not the worst case, you don't want it to stick. It will be very difficult to take it out of the pan if it's not oiled enough once it's done. So this is 3 tablespoons. Is 3 is good, or maybe 1 more?
That's fine. Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So 1/4 cup of oil almost. Okay. I'm just going to spread this around to all the corners. Make sure the sides get a little bit too. Then we're going to take out our dough. I should use the other side of the scraper. So it's kind of sticky to the plastic here, but I'm just going to use my scraper to kind of gently remove that so we don't lose too much dough here. And then we're going to loosen it up. Let me just get a little oil on this side too. And just pour it into the pan. At this point we can take a little extra oil on our hands or just on the top of the dough, and we can sort of do our best to spread it out evenly. But it will spread more while it rests as well. We're also kind of degassing it at this point, which is good because that gives it a chance to kind of redevelop those bubbles in the final rest in the fridge. What do you think? It's a little even, but I think it's okay. So you can always add more oil just before you bake if it looks like there's not enough. At this point, we're just going to cover it and we'll put it in the fridge for one more day and then we can bake it off. Okay, so we've had our dough now resting in the fridge for a day, and at this point we're now going to take it out and we'll let it come back to room temperature. So let it sit out for about 2 hours, during which time you're going to preheat your oven to 500 degrees Fahrenheit. And then just before we bake it, we're going to put on a mixture of well, whatever you want. In this case, we have olive oil, we have garlic, and we have a bunch of herbs. And then we also have some nice flaky salt that we'll sprinkle on top just before we bake. Okay. So just liberally gonna spread this around. Lots of other different toppings you can use, and then it just depends. The timing may vary depending on what you want to put on there, so you don't want it to burn. But for something like this, we can put it on at the very beginning.
Action.
Okay, so our oven's preheated to 500 degrees now. And our focaccia is close to room temperature, still a little cold, but that's okay. And so we're gonna put it in the oven now. So we're just gonna finish it with a sprinkle of flaky salt from a height, as I've been told. Does that seem okay? I really need more. Okay.
More.
Okay. And we're now gonna put it in the oven in the middle rack, roughly. If we wanted to, at this point we could dimple it one more time, but it still has a lot of nice little holes with olive oil, so I think we're okay. In the oven, 500 degrees for about 25 minutes.